you, Cam.
How do you even know that? That's like Fonz
I'm
back
not
in
a
the day.
fetus.
Well, now that we've talked about jumping the shark, we can go into the movie. So the first movie I picked, so this is going to be probably a long intro because this movie was kind of important to me.
Pump up the volume.
They say this is where the reception is the coolest.
Then he probably lives right around here.
Fucking yuppies.
By day, Mark Hunter, Christian Slater, Windtaker's Broken Arrow, is a painfully shy new kid in a small Arizona town. But by night, he's Hard Harry. Oh my.
Welcome to Radio Free America.
Are you listening to this?
Yeah.
Of course I'm listening. I have hair coming out of his palms.
Look, I don't know anything about these letters asking for love advice. I mean, if I knew anything about love, I would be out there making it instead of sitting in here talking to you guys.
The cynical, uncensored DJ of a pirate radio station.
Wait, does that mean it's pirated music, or they only play pirate music?
I just arrived in this stupid suburb. I have no friends.
They say I'm disturbed. Of course I'm disturbed. I mean, we're all disturbed, and if we're not, why not?
They think you're moody. Make them think you're crazy.
Make them think you might snap. No more Mr. Nice Guy!
Idolized by his high school classmates who are unaware of his real identity, Harry becomes a hero with his fiercely funny monologues on sex, love, and rock and roll. But when he exposes the corrupt school principal, she calls in the FCC to shut Harry down. No.
I can quite legally expel you. Yo, Loretta, I'm already expelled. Don't you remember you booted me out the first week for dress code?
Then you're trespassing. How'd you like to be arrested?
Paige! We're all really scared to be who we really are.
Slam me? Oh, Bill, I'm a big fan of yours.
Get off this.
Can I get an autograph?
This is vandalism, not free expression.
An outrageous rebel with a cause, Slater gives a brilliant performance as the reluctant hero who inspires his classmates to find their own voice of rebellion and individuality.
So how I found this movie, it came out, what did we say, 80, 91, 90, 1990, I think.
Yeah.
So I was young, 9 years old. So there was, when I was little, we used to go to, the record store was at the mall.
Drive out to some stupid mall. Maybe if I'm lucky, play some fucking video games, smoke a joint, and get stupid.
The malls were, a big thing. And I remember, I don't know how I know this, it was called Sally's Records. And the only reason I remember it is it was one of those ones that their theft was so bad that all the cassette tapes were in these big boxes behind plexiglass with holes in them.
Oh God, like Tide Pods.
Except you had to reach in, pull it out, it wouldn't fit outside of the hole. But there was a hole in the bottom, so when you found the one you want, you put it in the hole, it hit a conveyor belt, and went to the front, and that's where you checked out.
That's nifty.
It is, except it really sucks when, who buys one cassette at a time? Usually carrying, when I bought these movies the other day at the record store, I had 9 of them in my hand. To put them in there and let them go to the conveyor belt, and then had to walk up there and put it in.
And pick the one you want, and pick yours that came through.
It was a nightmare. Yeah. But with that saying that, for some reason, the movie came out, I was probably 8 years old, and I remember seeing the movie poster for this in that store when I was looking at records. And I remember seeing it there, I just thought that looked so cool.
I just can't get over the fact that it looks like a David Bowie album.
It does. He also looks significantly older on the cover than he did in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's the cheekbones.
Yeah. And I just thought this looked so cool. So I just remember that always stuck in my head. I was too young to see it. I didn't know what it was. It wasn't until maybe 5 or so years later, it came on TV and I watched it. And it was where I first discovered Leonard Cohen, because his theme song to his radio show is a Leonard Cohen song. Everybody knows.
Right.
And that started a long-term love affair with Leonard Cohen, which is I mean, one of the greatest songwriters ever lived. And then also, too, he plays music from Descendants, Black Flag, all these really good punk bands, and Descendants were the first punk band I ever heard. And that got me into being a musician, got me into music. Descendants were the most important band of all time, and the fact that he played it in there, given by the time I saw the movie, I know who Descendants were, but he played it, I got excited, like, holy shit, the Descendants are on a movie. Like, how cool was that? So that's just a small little section of why this movie was important to me and why I picked it, because, you know, you and I discussed before that some of the movies we've watched just don't have much substance. This one is one of the ones I really think did. There's a lot going on in this, a lot to say, and yeah, that's why I picked it.
Well, I love the fact that a lot of what happens in this movie is still relevant today.
Correct.
Very much.
Consider the life of a teenager. Huh? You have parents and teachers telling you what to do. You have movies, magazines, and TV telling you what to do, but you know what you have to do. Huh? Your job, your purpose is to get accepted, get a cute girlfriend, to think up something great to do for the rest of your life.
I'm shocked that I had never seen this movie. And I like Christian Slater. I'm a fan of Christian Slater. I've liked a bunch of movies he's done, but I never even heard of this movie until the other day when you busted out, which is fascinating because you had.
Yeah, I think it just must have been on TV one day, and like my parents were watching it or something, and because I remember the beginning and I remember the ending. Everything in the middle was lost to me.
Right.
But those two, there was a couple of incidents, like the ending with the car driving up and the reveal.
Right.
And then the beginning with the powerful intro.
Right.
And the whole Malcolm thing.
Right.
Just really stuck with me. So.
Yeah, just give us a summary of the movie.
Yeah.
Synopsis.
Synopsis. It's a pretty word. Synopsis.
The synopsis of the
Bane of
movie.
my existence right now.
Yeah. What?
The synopsis. I'm trying to write one for my book, and it's murder.
Okay, I think the word was a bane of like, oh shit, okay, we won't use that word.
The idea of a synopsis is my bane of my existence right now.
Just, it's your trigger word, synopsis.
Yeah.
Right. Start shaking.
Just flips the table.
It's like Tourette just takes over, you know.
Just have a Skittle, settle down.
So Christian Slater plays a teenage kid that's, I guess they moved to this new town in Arizona, and he has this radio personality, and he has this radio, this
Happy Harry
Hard-On radio station.
Because this is Hard Harry reminding you to eat your cereal with a fork and do your homework in the dark.
And he's broadcasting on this underground station, and all the students in the high school he goes to are listening to the station. And as he is so confident and so forward in everything he's doing in the station, when you see him in school, he's kind of shy and an introvert and keeping to himself. And
I wouldn't say kind of.
He was totally.
He'd look down on his toes. He would look down on his toes the whole
too
time.
He personified a turtle every chance he got.
It was very exciting.
There's shy and keeping to yourself, and then there's like, I'm Clark Kent.
No one can see how pretty I actually am.
That's good though. Like
that's don't look at my amazing cheekbones.
Yeah, I like the Clark Kent thing because he was Superman on the radio, and that's where his confidence was. That was his, my thing is in a cock ring the entire day.
The smug, the saunter.
Yeah, the whole thing. And then going to school and even having a girl approach him.
Remember when he walks up to the one girl and says hi,
right,
and then kind of just walks away? It was like, she even looked at it like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
Like, that was, yeah.
What a weirdo.
Yeah.
But it's great because it's truly like a coming of age story. Like it's coming into your power as a teenager. It's coming into understanding who you are and that you can rebel and certain things are okay to step outside the box. And and then we reference the Malcolm thing, and that's the tragedy of the story is, while he has his radio station, if somebody provides a phone number, they call in, or he calls them and gets them live on the radio. And
Dear Hard Harry, do you think I should kill myself? Great. Signed, I'm serious.
But I was hoping you were going to kind of go into the Malcolm thing because.
Yeah, which I wanted to comment because when we were watching it, we were kind of talking about guilt and where it lies, and like even the cops were after him because he was the cause, quote unquote.
Well, should we say what happened to Malcolm? Because it's like none of us. So yes.
Perhaps. So what happened was this kid wanted to kill himself, and he called into the radio, kind of looking for a lifeline and hoping that Harry would be able to save him,
right?
Or convince him that something was worth living for. And Harry goes on about how lonely he is too, which could have been taken as solidarity, but I think Malcolm took it as there's no hope.
Well,
yes.
Also, you got to remember the first part of that conversation was do you have the gun? Do you have a gun?
Yeah.
You know, and he was kind of, I think
Egging
he
him on.
was
very
egging him on and
antagonistic, but also kind of jesting.
Pushing a little bit. Yeah.
But a neat part that I really plays into that was the call right before that was a fake call.
Yeah.
So it sets up that whole thing that he
thinks it's a fraud.
He's not, he has to play that whole thing of like, he can't buy into every one of them. So it sets that up to where, this could be fake, even though we as an audience know it's not fake.
Yeah. Oh, the two girls.
Right, the two girls. So that was a great setup to show that, so he does get fake call or fake letters.
Right.
So.
And it's even harder too because his entire personification is a fake character in a sense. And so he's like, if I'm playing it fake, then they're playing it fake. And they signed it as, I want to kill myself, should I, ? Signed, I'm serious.
Right.
And he even jested to it. And he's like, hi, Sirius, I'm Harry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you're really running with this sort of narrative of like, I'm a jester, tell me you mean it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like,
which could work in some senses.
It worked in his character, but it didn't work in like
it didn't
a
work
morality
for Malcolm,
sense.
But, because I mean, if you looked at it, it could have been a jarring, like, you don't actually want to do this. Like, you might have the things, but face what you're trying to do.
Right.
And trying to, like, snap him out of it almost with humor. And then when that didn't work, he got serious.
Yeah.
And I liked the fact that you mentioned that he related to him. Like, I'm alone all the time. I sit on the stairs by myself and I have lunch or read a book by myself all the time. The idea is to wake up tomorrow and try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
That was his ending sort of conversation.
It's just not what he wanted to hear.
Mm-mm.
No. Well, but Malcolm, they set up Malcolm's story with Malcolm listening to the radio by himself, and then his mom walks in the room and says, "Come be social with us."
Right.
And he's like, "No, I don't want to." And she's like, "Okay,
have
it your way."
way.
Right. Have it your way, and she just walks away. No.
Dark Burger King commercial.
Yeah.
Your father and I are downstairs watching TV. Why don't you come down and join us for once?
No.
All right, Malcolm. Have it your way.
Thanks.
A Dark Burger King commercial.
Yeah.
I'll
give you credit for it. You said that was your joke.
Yeah.
I'm not stealing it from you. That was just a good joke.
It's just it's the cynical Burger King tagline.
Right.
Yeah. Fine. Have it your way. It's like the more passive-aggressive slogan for Burger King.
It does relate to the teen angst thing that you keep bringing up with like how a lot of teenagers hide in their rooms because when they go out, all their parents do is like criticize them or be like, "Oh, you finally joined us." Like that doesn't make you want to stay.
Yeah, I thought I got good grades and you left me alone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was part of his line.
But before we go into that one, while we're still talking, I'm glad you remembered his name Malcolm. I totally forgot it. And when because that's why I said describe what happened. Because when you said the Malcolm incident, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Malcolm X.
Yeah. I was like, Malcolm in the middle.
Right.
But the issue you brought up too was the feeling of guilt.
Yes.
Where does that should guilt lie in him? Because like the guy did reach out to him and. Where does his responsibility lie? Like, because the cops blamed him for it.
Yeah.
Look, I really can't handle this right now, okay?
Hey, look, it's not your fault. I mean, I was listening last night. I didn't think he'd go through with it.
That guilt of like losing somebody, because in high school, I used to sit on internet chats and talk people out of it. And
Oh, you were part of a suicide line.
Not really. It was just a lot of depressed teenagers in the same group chat.
Wow.
So I have been that person trying to keep somebody alive in the middle of the night. And I never lost somebody, but if I did, there would always be kind of that guilt of I was the last person to talk. I could have done something differently.
Last night, one of our students, Malcolm Kaiser, took his own life. For those of you who knew him, there will be a memorial service at Dempsey Hall on Friday.
It's
you just don't know what that different could have possibly been.
Yeah.
No. Well, and we go through that, of course, with everything in our lives. Anything that goes south or goes sour for us, we're like, what could I have done different?
Yeah, it's like if you got home an hour late and you didn't know it, but your dog had gotten into the garbage and chewed on a bone and choked on it. If you had gotten home on time instead of staying late and talking to your boss, you could have been home to save your dog. But you literally can't function with information you don't have.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't know what the next hour is going to bring, because that's the whole spontaneity of life and how this journey goes.
So there's only so much that he could have done, especially because the kid hung up.
Right.
And then left his thing off the line. Like, he couldn't call back and try again. There was, at that point, there was nothing left for him to do.
And at that point, you saw him too, where he was like, did he really want talk? Did he really want to be talked out of it?
Yeah.
Or what was the point of? Because
I feel like he just wanted to be heard one last time.
Right, because he wrote that. So it didn't happen. It wasn't like he wrote him an email and it was happening now. He wrote him a letter. It was mailed.
Right.
And then so this was not just like a spur of the moment thing. Like obviously dealt with it. It's been dealing with it for a long time. But I mean, he waited for that call and then did it. So like this was not something that he probably could have talked him out of. And given that's logically looking at a thing of it, but as his character, he's not thinking about that. He's not thinking, well, this took 3 days. Like he wrote this letter. And
well, I have to go in because we're talking about teen suicide right now, and this is a pretty serious subject at this point, right? And the thing that I love that that Christian Slater did do was, he made it in talking about it afterwards, or was talking about it. He was like, you're going to end up dead. All these people are going to be sat around you, and you shit your pants.
Another thing to remember about suicide
It is not a pretty picture. First of all, you shit your shorts.
Like it's not an attractive thing. It's not a good thing. It's not something you want to have somebody find. Yeah. So there was a moment where he was still fighting with it. This isn't a positive way to do it. And even though it was elementary at that point, teen suicide is a very big thing, especially with what's going on in our world today. People are so confused, they think this is the best way out, and it's never the best way out. It's never the best way. I mean, it's kind of a cheap way out in a way, because the people that are going to find you are going to be hurt for the rest of their lives because of it.
The one thing I remember when I was younger hearing, and he started saying it, and I wish it would have been written in the script, but because he even said, yes, it's the easy way out.
There you are. You got all these problems swarming around in your brain. And here is one incredibly simple solution.
It's the easy way out for you, but not for everyone in your life. It's the hard way for them.
Yeah, and he literally meant it was easy in the sense that it solves all your problems.
Right, but it creates...
it itself is a very difficult thing to do.
Right, but I just that was one thing, like I said a long time ago, it was it's easy for you, it solves all your problems, but it's the exact opposite for everybody else. It's hard for them. It's because they all have to deal with that one choice that you made. Right. And that's even though it's not necessarily a guilt trip to try to convince someone. It does give them something.
Stay for everyone else. Be self-sacrificing and.
But it gives them something to think about of yes, this is easy for me, but it's not.
Well, there's always a better option, right?
Which is to rebel.
Doesn't this blend of blindness and blandness want to make you do something crazy? Then why not do something crazy? It makes a hell of a lot more sense than blowing your fucking brains out.
Which is to rebel.
Because he said you could die or you could get crazy, and then you blow up your microwave.
Yes.
And that's I like that better.
You blow up your microwave and get a black eye and a broken nose.
She said the pearls were shooting off like bullets. That's what the other girl said. She said her pearls were shooting off like bullets. I think one broke her nose.
Right.
I think it shot her right in the
But
face.
that is a better way, right?
Well,
That
yeah,
is a better way.
yeah.
Unless it
Because-
sets your house on fire.
Well,
maybe you wanted a firehouse.
But burning your house sounds better than killing yourself still.
Unless it takes everyone with it.
Do not assassinate your family with arson.
Don't set the microwave on fire. When
Yeah, I
nobody
think-
knows you're doing it.
Well, and the good thing about that, when the girl was rebelling with setting her microwave on fire, I mean, she was putting metal objects and all that, but she took down like the Yale poster, like her parents were pushing Yale.
Yeah.
She took down the Pearl. She just wanted to be
Herself.
a girl. She wanted to be herself. She wanted to be a teenager, and didn't want the responsibilities of this, or didn't want the affections of this, you know. And yeah, that's the cat.
I was like, I hear a cat, but I didn't think you had a cat.
It's
I told you I
okay.
had a cat.
It's okay. No, it's
I
me.
thought that was part of the story you're telling. Like you're saying, like, because that's what you want to do, because that sounds like a cat. Like what?
No, guys, it's me.
Yeah, it's your yeah.
Yeah,
Your
it's fine.
shirt is your shirt is screaming at us.
It's in the microphone.
It really screams. It's okay. I get
All
it.
right, so
Anyway.
So we go into the teenage angst. We're talking about the teenage angst thing because like this really attacks the teenage angst part, but it also talks about like the adults not understanding the kids' lives, because that's also what it was. Like they even said the one girl was expelled for being pregnant, and then the one teacher who was fired came back and said, "Look, you've been expelling students because of it hurts your grade numbers and your financing."
Right.
So it kind of shows that like it's not just kids' angst and rebellion. There is, and because at the very start he said government shit. The school is shit. He's going through all the things that are terrible.
And think about it. Everything's polluted. The environment, the government, the schools, you name it.
And yes, as when we were 17 or 18 with their age, we all had that rebellion, thought the same thing, but to a point, it's true. I mean, there was something wrong with that school.
It was very justified. It
Yeah.
reflected a broken system.
Well, there's something wrong with every school that you go to. There's no perfect school. And yeah, the principal ended up getting fired at the end of the movie because she was padding her school with just good SAT scores to get more funding for her school, and getting rid of the students that actually really needed the help.
And then
or
keeping
needed
the money
education.
that would
Yeah.
have gone to those students and saying that they weren't expelled.
Right.
So what did she expel?
she
like
kept them on
20
the- yeah.
students, but then
Kept them on the
kept them
roll,
on the
yeah.
books. So she
Yep.
got the
Those kids had rights. They were losers.
Troublemakers. They're just kids.
I don't regret my policy.
It's criminal. And I'm suspending you.
You can't do that.
Oh, I think I just did.
And
the government financing for them.
Real crazy thing is, you remember the blonde-haired bully in the beginning? I don't remember his name, but he was the bully, and he was like in every sequence. He was the one that got punched by the teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, the one that had gotten expelled at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But he came in to put a sign up. I don't know if you read the sign.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, I need education, or something like that.
I have a right to
I'm being
education or
denied
something.
education.
Oh yeah, that one. You had it.
Something. But he had like he was moved by the radio station, and he was one of the first people you saw that connected with the radio station in understanding what his message was.
Oh yeah, he was the
believing it to
first
himself.
car in the field.
Yeah.
First car in the field. And then at the end of the movie, when he came back to the school, because he was already expelled, he had his poster, his sign was, "I'm being denied an education." Like he wanted an education. He wanted to be there, even though he was this rebellious kid. He still wanted to learn. He still wanted to be part of
And
this
they denied
system.
him that.
Yeah, and they expelled him, and then a teacher struck him, punched him
a couple times
in the face and in the stomach, and
he was, and the principal was fired, but he was still fine.
he was still there. Yeah.
Yeah, assault minors.
Yeah.
So, but I love that. I love that the one kid that was like the bully of the school was the first to kind of come back and sort of start fighting for the students as well.
Mhm.
All right,
And for himself.
And for himself. Why don't we get into the thing of, did you like it and would you recommend
All right,
it?
so yeah, we know what I'm going to say, so please someone else take.
Jump. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I think it's the most I'd recommend any movie we've seen so far.
Wow. And why?
The substance. I am a sucker for substance.
Yeah.
If it has meaning, then I will recommend it.
Okay.
If it, I'm, yeah.
And did you connect with it? Did you connect with the age of the people in the movie? Like, because these people are just past, just before your age group. Right, these are like 15, 16, 17-year-old kids.
Yeah, but
and you're in your 20s.
It's definitely a very different time because like this was 90.
Oh yeah, but
the same I think struggles line because like obviously what I had mentioned with the group chat and how I've done what he did in different formatting. So there are the things that related and how it was small scale modern revolution.
Right.
So yeah, I related to it in some way.
Cool. How about you?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that I personally identified with the movie too terribly much. I have a couple of people in mind that I'm gonna suggest the movie to who might, but I was always a particularly weird kid and I had a decent amount of support in being weird.
Being weird isn't enough.
I actually really enjoyed the movie. I'd never heard of it. I didn't see it growing up. I was in my 20s when this movie came out, so this wouldn't have related to me at that point in my life. I was probably already, out of college and living on wherever I was living at that point. But I loved it. I loved the story. I loved. I'm a big fan of Christian Slater, so I love his character. I felt like the shy guy was a little over the top, a little bit too, a little bit too like, a little bit too timid for how outgoing his alternate personality was, But I thought it was a great movie, and I thought it had a good story. And I love the fact that when we started this discussion, we talked about teenage suicide, which is a very serious thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up, so that's I'll say yes. The reason I picked it, I know it's a good movie, good music. You have Leonard Cohen, you have The Descendants, you have Black Flag, you have the Pixies. So one thing you can take away from there is there's good music. So take some good music away from there too. Fun story. Yeah, Leonard Cohen. If you take anything away from this show, listen to Leonard Cohen. Listen to Leonard Cohen and the Pixies. But yeah, I'm glad we picked this. I'm glad I picked this and forced you guys to watch it. I hope everyone liked it. I think this is probably one of the better movies we're going to have on the show.
Just so you're never supposed to look at the camera, right? You're never supposed to look at the camera, but just so you know,
if you say like, smash, and subscribe, I'm going to fucking hit you.
Good luck with that, because that's not going to happen. Just so you know, we do not have a clue what movie we're watching before we see it. Even though I fight you on it,
Oh yeah, everyone. What are we watching?
What's next? What's next?
Any last words before we move on to the next one? Because I think
we've covered it.
Yeah,
we did
We're
a
out
bunch
of time.
this.
I just want to say one little thing.
Go.
When his not quite girlfriend was confronting him about giving up the station and trying to convince him not to, and he's like, "This is my life you're playing with," and she's like, "This is all of our lives that basically you've been playing with." And I love that like card flip that she did on him.
Listen, this is my life you're screwing around with here,
Not anymore, it isn't. This is everyone's life. Mark, you can't leave it like this. People are confused. Well,
so am I.
Mark!
The thing's fucked up. It's crazy.
No, the world is fucked up.
Because once you try to implement a change and the ripple starts, you were originally the stone that fell, but the tide
took over.
The tsunami, it's no longer all about you anymore. And I really liked how she brought that up, because I thought that encompassed the whole movie.
Right.
That basically, don't start what you can't finish.
Right.
And it's bigger than just you. And I was like,
That's it. Show's over. I'm done. Stick a fork in me.
It's been grand.
This is Hard Harry saying sayonara.
Over and out.
Come on, you can't do this. This is a joke, right?
Come on, Harry, baby, don't stiff.
You ready?
Yep, let's count it.
Let's go.
All
just count the whole time in the background.
You're getting serious now.
1 alligator, 2
Alligator.
All right, so we're gonna get going.
Okay.
I picked this movie mostly because I wanted to counter the first selection.
I thought it was because you had a crush on Steve Guttenberg.
We all do.
Where are we, man? Ecuador.
I mean...
No, I'm Callahan. I'm Team Callahan.
Really?
Learn to defend yourselves without stick or firearm.
Yeah, totally.
But I mean, like...
I mean, Callahan, that's one hell of a can, right?
Yes, she can.
I'm going to keep coming up with the jokes.
Forgot these two together. Forgot all about we're going down that rape mattress route again.
Trying to Callahan all this action.
All right. So the reason I picked this one is it is a funny movie. I don't think it's a good movie, but it's a funny movie that has some good comedy in it. We will laugh. Just don't expect a lot. It's gonna suck.
No.
What do we got? Police Academy!
Are you kidding me? This is a classic!
This is gonna be amazing.
What are you talking about? How can you say it's not a good movie? It's a good movie.
There's funny parts in it, but as a movie, structure-wise, it's a terrible movie.
I mean, I feel like you're an elitist when it comes to movies sometimes.
No, because like there's no character development.
There is. They go through the police academy.
She learns how to scream.
Yeah, oh yeah.
She learns how to scream.
It's a series. You even said how rough the editing cuts were. It just jumps from scene to scene because it's a series of jokes just strung together.
Well, so is Monty Python.
So is Airplane.
Bubba Smith stuck up for the...
He's getting teamed up
Hicks,
on.
is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Bubba Smith stuck up for Hightower, stuck up for Hicks.
But I guess
as a joke, so we could flip the car and but
still the message is sent.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, like, the big climax is they show up to a
graduation.
No, they show up to a riot and go to the wrong place.
What the hell are you doing here?
We're from the academy.
You're supposed to be blocks away from here. The damn riot's right back down the street.
So they're instead of being outside of the riot, they're inside the riot.
Yeah, the graduation's really an announcement.
No, the high point is the graduation because they survived the riot.
But that's not the climax. That's
the second.
That's the resolution.
Thank you, the resolution. Yeah, but I'm saying the climax is when they show up there. There's just. Okay. Who wants to go on what happened? So here, we'll just do it. Tell me a story. What happened in this movie? That's piece it together as if it were an actual story movie.
On March 4th of this year.
Yeah.
It just happened. According to the narration at the beginning of the film, or at least the subtitles at the beginning of the film, the Los Angeles Police Department lifted its requirements on age, height, weight, and IQ.
And Johnson.
And Johnson.
And color.
Color. The thing is, that was that. But
it's not a movie. See,
but that's
my point.
But that wasn't mentioned in the beginning opening part of the film. In the beginning opening part of the film, it's height, weight, IQ. That's the only thing they mentioned then. And so all of these previously what would have been rejects are allowed to join the police academy. After joining the police academy, the police commissioner meets with the commandant and says, don't let any of these people graduate. Like, work them so hard that they quit, but you can't kick any of them out. And enter all of the rejects. Everybody's favorite, most lovable reject being Mahoney, who's got a friend who's a captain of police, and the captain of police is like, Mahoney can't quit, and you're not allowed to kick him out. And so he's got to make it all the way through. But whatever, you get all these varied rejects who wouldn't normally make it in the police academy, shouldn't have what it takes to make it in the police academy, but somehow they come together, they get through it all, and in the climax of the film, which is a riot, they actually perform pretty darn well, end up saving some lives, and because instead of going to the edges of the riot where there shouldn't be any action, they're accidentally diverted by the incompetent commandant to the center of the riot, and they are in jeopardy, and they get through it, and they graduate, and a couple of them earn the highest honors at the graduation, which is the resolution.
Which is Shakespearean when you think of it.
It is, and so
because you have all these people that are not characters that you would normally root for. And you're rooting for these guys, especially
you always root for the underdog. They're all the underdog.
All of us said
the entire
no.
movie
Wait. Let me finish. Everybody was, when we were all watching this, and Hicks went, get on the ground, dirtbag! And we all went, yay! Because she screamed.
Beat himself in the wiener.
Yay!
Beat himself in the wiener.
Yeah, because it was
it's a
a
joke.
victory. But it's also a victory.
It's a punchline.
No.
But it's also
development.
Because she said it in every movie, every sequel, she said the same thing.
It's still character
the thing
development.
Is, you can both be right at the same time because
Right.
both of those things are true.
No, yeah,
You're
yes,
not
of
right.
course.
She's not right.
No,
You're both right.
She's definitely right. I'm not saying she's wrong, but my thought is like, you went from the opening text to the climax. That just proves nothing else happened in the goddamn movie to make it a movie.
No,
it was skits.
She was describing. Well, she was describing that character story arc.
It was skits.
And Mahoney
All
learned,
of them have a story arc.
So, like, Mahoney's story arc is he's a ne'er-do-well who's parking cars at the beginning, and he can't get a better job than that. He ends up becoming a career police officer by the end of it.
He's a scumbag at the beginning. He's a scumbag at the end.
See the thighs. Come on, I haven't got all day. The thighs.
He's getting a blowjob while he's doing the speech, and he's like, oh. Like...
No, he's surprised and he's not happy about it.
No. That he went to do a full speech.
Yeah.
And then
Which the speech...
set up.
As a joke, right. But the speech was also... he didn't take... He became a career police officer that he didn't take serious. His speech was a joke.
Thank you, Commandant Lassard, Chief Hurst, Madam Mayor, Mr. President, His Holiness the Pope, the King of Norway, and our other honored guests.
He didn't even hire the original prostitute either. He ended up whisking her away because somebody else hired her and put him in another cadet's room.
The original prostitute. Yeah.
And so he wasn't even originally the culprit of that.
No, it was
he
the bad
ended
guys.
up getting comeuppance that I felt he didn't deserve.
Comeuppance.
That was an accident.
But at the same time,
Nice.
the commandant of the academy, who takes policing very seriously, is the one who set that up. Mahoney didn't set up the
Because
end scene
Mahoney's a
blowjob.
scumbag.
He didn't set up the end scene blowjob. The commandant.
Right. He made he's such a scumbag. He made the commandant a scumbag.
That's not
Well, even the commandant was like not a character you would necessarily root for. He couldn't park anything. He's kind of an airhead. He's kind of, you know what I mean?
He's kind of incompetent.
It's a whole it's the island of misfit toys. I'm telling you, it's Shakespearean level writing.
It's
telling you.
Remember that when the riot was happening, Mahoney was the only one that put his life on the line to go save the other guy.
Bubba Smith did.
Bubba Smith just followed him up, and he ran up.
He's been defending people pretty much
He was an anti-hero, right? Which is brilliant writing. When you're talking about a thing that's like
here's what I've got to say. Like you're anti this movie has a plot. Every
It's not
other
anti.
person at this table disagrees.
At the table. Wait. At the table. Let's hear behind the camera.
You don't like comedy, though.
I don't like comedy.
See?
So this is already a biased statement. But I do think while it has a plot, it is a very shallow plot, especially next to Pumpkin.
No, and see, that's not my my argument. Isn't that the plot is amazing and thick and rich? It is that the plot exists, the character development does exist in an ensemble cast. Each individual character does develop. This is closer to a slice of life film.
This is a series of skits placed together with a loose.
No,
I don't disagree.
I
Which is
totally
not a movie.
disagree.
It's a.
Interesting though that you kept comparing it to Shakespeare.
It is.
Well, when you say it and when we laughed about it, because we think immediately that Shakespeare is some like brilliant, like high class, but
Shakespeare is pulp.
Any vulgar crowds, and this does fit.
There's
It
characters in
fits the
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare comedy. Yeah, he wrote comedy to sell. Like he was not writing art; he was writing a commodity.
And everybody these days gets
I'm not saying
Shakespeare
that.
wrong.
And comedy-wise, like right. But as far as a Shakespearean comedy, it could fit in there. But when people say Shakespearean, they tend to go to the more dramatic side of it, the more structured side of it, which is why we both laughed.
No, there's
as comedy, as a comedy written for just make as much money as you possibly can on.
Shakespeare was ye old Saturday Night Live. Would this movie hold up today? No, it wouldn't be popular in theaters today. Was it a fantastic movie for the 80s?
I think it would hold up in theaters. Have you seen Super Troopers?
That's a good point. Because if Police Academy was remade now,
it's stoner
it would be
comedy.
It is absolutely
It's Dude, Where's
stoner
My
comedy.
Car?
And the thing is, when you, I mean, not from personal experience, but from what I have heard people say, is when you are enjoying a stoner comedy, you are already getting existential enough, so they don't want to make the story too deep, or you might actually get lost. So they give you a shallow plot on
high now just
purpose,
from listening
and
to her.
all they've done is personify a bunch of parodies.
High
That's
Times,
each one of the characters.
Pineapple
Let's admit
Express,
it. They are just
Dude, Where's My
personifications
Car?
of
Like
Best
this,
movie of all time.
This
Dude, Where's My Car?
this fits in, and I still think it's a good movie.
Yeah, I think it's a good movie. So.
It's a funny skit comedy.
Yeah.
In movie format.
I don't think it's skits. I think it's got more meat than that.
We're literally laughing the entire time, even though we knew the jokes that were coming.
Yeah.
We knew the sequences that were happening, but it still tickled us in the moments that it was happening.
I think that's called conditioned laughter.
No.
you just want anybody to be funny. No, I do have to come back to his side and say
I just clipped every mic just clipped on my laugh because of that. Was this? I'm not trying to upset, anger. Like I laughed. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying. Yeah, I don't,
Oh, we didn't
think
notice
there's-
until you pointed at it, but yeah.
I think
very
there's
ragey.
worse. I think there's
of,
worse.
Of course, yes. There are like, in my mind, one of the worst comedies I've seen in a long time. I thought Pineapple Express was the worst thing I've seen.
Not a fan.
You replace comedic timing with volume is not funny.
It's just like someone who just yells, yeah.
Yeah, instead of screaming your comedic lines, instead of delivering them with proper comedic timing, isn't funny. And this one had, I mean, Gutenberg is funny.
Hi, Captain Reed. Can I get out of here? No? Okay.
What? You didn't hit the brakes.
You didn't tell me to.
You idiot!
You know, there was good comedic timing in there. I'm not saying that. I just.
The entire cast of this movie are all treasures and gifts in their own right. They occupy a space in my heart and my head for the rest of my life.
God damn it! Stop that!
I want to be a police officer.
What?
Where did you get this gun? My mom gave it to me.
That's how it's done. Who's next?
That's me!
I love it. I love it. How was that?
Because they were warm, wholesome versions of the filthy, like, bad humor of the 80s, which I am surprised how well this film aged, considering some of the content. Like, the very worst scandalous part was when Mahoney was staring down into the women's shower.
And what movie did we mention?
Drinking a beer, Porky's.
Right, which does not age well.
When I went through this academy, every cadet was the right weight, the right height, the right color, and they all had Johnson's Lassard.
That's
Which
like
does
a
not
gross
age well.
movie. It's
But that
gross.
moment actually kind of aged well. Like that
Although-
was the worst part of the film. It was still creepy. It was
There was still
acceptable, but-
rejection of that idea, though, when all the girls started to scream
There
and run
was
away. Like,
rejection.
they were saying,
But Steve,
not cool.
Steve Gutenberg wasn't the bad guy. It was his officer that came over.
That's true. He didn't
took
get
the beer
he didn't get character
and then
shame.
he
You're right.
clinked his little rod, his little knob that he kept on polishing through the whole fucking creepy fucking ball.
Just so I can cut it
Bottom
into this,
pole.
I just want to bring up the scene from Porky's when what's the teacher's trying to describe or try. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh no! He's already
You
laughing.
know what I'm talking about? Where she's trying to describe his penis.
You mean when it was sticking out of the hole?
And she's trying to describe it to the principal, and the two guys in the background are trying
I'm
not
just
to
laughing,
laugh.
and she's trying to convince the principal to get the
A
entire
lineup,
men's
a
like
lineup, yes.
something team to do a lineup so she can look at everybody's penis.
It's seriously one of the funniest things put to film. One of the funniest visual gags. Cause
That was really funny, but the rest of
I
that
would-
movie is just
Sorry.
bad sexual
Crap.
exploitation.
Crap.
Porky's is
crap.
That reminds me, the only other penis lineup I've ever seen in a movie was History of the World Part 1.
Thank you. Yes. No. Madeline Kahn is brilliant. I love her. Can
These
you
are
step
so over
on
my
the
head.
same foot
Oh,
at
you've
the
got to see
same
History of the World
time?
Part 1.
My tits are falling out.
So awesomely, fantastically
But we're
bad.
not talking about History of the World Part 1. We're not talking about Part
But
that was my fault. I know.
in Police
But-
Academy, you do see influence of Mel Brooks and all
Oh,
that.
yeah.
All that. What do they call that? What kind of comedy is that? That not farce, but.
The slapstick.
Yeah, the slapstick stuff. There was like a Barbra Streisand movie that was like that, but it wasn't that funny. It was kind of terrible.
And then they made 6 more of them.
Because there were so many unanswered questions in the first one.
Yahweh bless.
But I will say, like most sequels, they just get ridiculous. But they do bring Bobcat Goldthwait in.
That was a
which
good one.
Was,
The second one, yeah.
Not you. I'm in the ducks.
And
Yeah,
there's
they-
hotter balloons in one of them.
And because of I think is it Citizens on Patrol, which is I think the second one, maybe the third one. They bring in some really at the top skateboarders at the time to skate through the movie, which I enjoy because.
I think I saw the second one in the theater because I was old enough to see the R-rated. But now when you see this one is R-rated, I'm just like, there's a boob.
But it's so
there was
many,
boobs,
so
yeah.
many boobs and so many butts and lots of sexual
But you know what?
humor.
There's boobs in Airplane. That's PG.
Right. There's a pair of boobs in Airplane.
It's a matter of volume.
Yeah.
So 2 boobs, okay. 4 boobs,
They
offensive.
pumped up the volume of boobs in Police Academy.
Yeah, remember she was a real Callahanful.
That was the joke.
That was the joke.
That was the joke.
I came back to it just for you.
I'm trying to think what was questionable. Like there was language in it, yes.
There was some language.
The racial slurs.
The racial slurs. But I
And
feel
the
like
gay bar.
the gay bar. But I feel like they really appropriately handled
They
both
did,
of those things.
yeah.
Because there was racism in it, but they made it so that the racism was clearly bad, and it was clearly the bad guys that had the general, the Southern flag as their license plate. And then like when they went to the gay bar, yeah, it's a gay bar, and it's full of gay tropes, and there's a bunch of leather daddies, and they're in the police and the biker stuff, and they're wearing spikes, and they all look like the lead singer from Iron Maiden. And it was kind of great. And they're dancing and stuff. The only thing I didn't like about that scene is that the 2 bad police cadets, it felt like they weren't allowed to leave.
Well, one guy liked it.
They
were
One guy liked it,
not
but
at the start.
But when they first
But
got
yeah,
in there,
at the
like
end, yeah.
the dudes surrounded them, and it seemed like they couldn't leave, and it felt a little rapey, a little bit bad. But otherwise, it seemed like it was just harmless and uncomfortable for those poor guys, which I thought was pretty
Like maybe
great.
they didn't know
It ended
how
up
to.
in dancing. It didn't end up in rape or anything. There was nothing.
Yeah.
They were just dancing.
You were forced to dance.
Yeah, I don't feel like that was uncomfortable in any way.
Even Police Academy was a rough one because like I'm trying to pick movies that I think are forgotten gems. Police Academy is not forgotten. A lot of people know that. Pump the Volume, I think, is forgotten. Not a lot of people know of it.
Really? I think a lot of people know about that.
But I mean, even like
lot
the
of
fact that
people
Antonio
already
never
know
saw
about
it.
I never.
But a lot of people who do know about it, if you mention it to them, like I don't remember, and then when you go through it, oh, I do remember that one.
Yeah.
That's why I say it's a forgotten gem. Yeah, even Callie had saw it when she was younger, parts of it, so she remembered parts of it. So it's like,
I only remembered it when you read the
synopsis
because I was like,
Oh.
this sounds really familiar.
So yeah, I think it's a forgotten gem, and that's what it. Where Police Academy is not really not forgotten, and it's funny, but not a gem in my opinion.
Oh, I
But
disagree.
I needed to lighten the mood. So
Hard disagree.
that's fine.
Police Academy.
That's exactly why I do
and
this.
all of its buddies, absolutely a gem. But
No, the first 3. I mean, if you watch Police Academy Mission to Moscow, you're gonna want to.
I never saw Mission
Don't
Moscow. I've not seen past 3, so there is
Yeah.
that.
Same.
I've seen them all, and they're all.
But stepping back to
Maybe
this,
that's what ruined it for you, is you saw too much Police Academy.
I mean, what I point out when we're watching,
Too much of a
the
good
Blue
thing.
Oyster joke gets really overplayed to the point that it starts to become like in the first one it's funny, but as they start doing it in every one of them, it starts becoming mean spirited because now it is like the gay bar, the gay like
Gay bashing.
it is. It's very.
as opposed to the fish out of water joke of heterosexual men that are so opposed to homosexuality that they won't even consider that these could be normal, kind people stepping into a gay bar and then suddenly being like, oh no, I'm usually a bully, but now I'm outnumbered. What do? I'm a fish out of water. And that's pretty funny.
You want to talk more about Pump Up the Volume? we can just talk. We'll
have our own little niche.
Yeah,
They'll just be completely excluded because they weren't here.
I know.
Just the two of you.
Yeah.
But you remember the movie. You've seen it.
It's been a long time. I haven't.
Well, if you want to borrow it, you're welcome to.
Thank you.
Because it's I think it might be the first movie that we had where we all recommended it, like positively recommended it.
You know, and that's the thing. The edgy comedy, we all recommended it, I think, because it's good-natured. All the bad comedy, the dark humor in some other movies, the things in this that could have been very racist, the things in this that could have been very sexualist or sexualized or rapey or really dark concerning people's thoughts on homosexuality. It's all good-natured, and you see that in the end.
Then I got a question for all three of you, and maybe you guys too if you want. Could they push it further? Should they push it further? Was it too safe?
I don't think so.
Because like, I mean, honestly, like with Callahan with the one guy, the womanizer guy, it could have been pushed further. He was a womanizer, and then she came over and took over that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am!
Don't worry, I can explain everything.
Shut up.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
That could have been pushed further.
That was a point that I wanted to make a little while ago before we went on this pump up the volume and everything else tangent. When he was going to the dorm room and having consensual sex with multiple partners, like he was going to do a prearranged thing, right? Unlike Revenge of the Nerds, he wasn't sneaking in to do something untoward. He was going to people that were expecting him, knocking on the door. They invited him in. He went and had a good time. He was breaking the rules of the police academy, which all of the misfits were doing, but he was doing it with people that wanted to do it with him.
Yeah, they had their own code.
Right, but then he fell in love.
But well, I'm getting to that, right? And then he knocks on the door, and the tables are turned, and it's Officer Callahan, and she yoinks him in. And the closest it gets to rapey in the film is her like taking him, but I felt like at any moment he could have disengaged and be like, no, time out, I'm not cool with this.
She rips off his robe, and then she rips off her own shirt, and she flips him into the bed and jumps on top of him.
Yeah.
And then he has the walk of shame, limping during sunrise.
She pegged him, you know it.
And he falls in love.
Which is something that was like a theme throughout the movie, where it was like the underdog has his day, where like because Hicks, like the lady that was bullying Hicks, the two guys that were bullying and then there was
well, it wasn't two guys; it was four guys that were bullying
Barber.
Yeah. And
that
so
were bullying Barber.
yeah, so it was and you kept saying there was like no character. There's tons of character development. There's loads of it.
This is our furniture. Oh.
And get out of the area! But it's our furniture. Oh. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
He beats him up for stealing stuff during a riot.
That's their own stuff, yeah.
Police Academy is 100% a lowest common denominator comedy.
Like Shakespeare.
Right? It is for white people and black people and Jewish people and every other minority and every age demographic and women and men.
It's McDonald's.
Like it caters to everybody. It makes jokes for everybody on behalf of everybody without alienating anybody. And
Except for bullies.
Except for bullies.
And horses.
I mean, you don't know if the horse was into that or not, so I don't speak horse.
Actually, he was into the horse.
Good answer.
And to be honest, like what Debra was saying, I have to admit that I love the character development in this because Hightower is one of my favorite characters. He goes to the middle of the night to his friend and says, I have never driven a car. Can you help me? And they run from the police because he wants to pass the police academy. He wants to become a cop.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be a forest.
And then he gets kicked out defending his friend.
He does an awesome job in the course, laughing and flying through the course, and then somebody makes a racial slur at a friend of his, and he risks everything
But yes,
it's a story
so
about a
from
man
start
who
to finish,
has nothing
he was a good character.
that risks
He didn't
everything
change.
to feel
He was-
something.
He was a good character. Like,
Yeah, that is a good point. There's no character development
Yeah,
if he
he
came
was-
into it fully developed and well-rounded character.
Sure, but no, but
There is though, because he's changed at the end because then he's a cop. They let him back in.
Well, he changed professions, but his character as a whole did not adjust really in any manner.
So
None of them really. I mean, the biggest change was the shy girl who learned how to yell. Realistically,
yeah,
I mean,
Tackleberry did not have any character
I mean,
growth.
the
He just
crazy guy
embodied
with the
what he
gun
wanted
was
to
still
do.
a crazy guy with the gun. The overweight video guy was still a nice, sweet,
No,
loving.
the overweight video guy totally grew. He
He
had
learned how to
confidence.
beat somebody up. That's
Not just that-
true.
and he
but
fucked
I
up, so he did it wrong. So he fucked up. He beat up the guys who were not stealing stuff. Yes, they were bullying him.
Yeah, he committed.
He committed a crime.
He committed felony assault.
He
So,
learned.
but so he was a nice, sweet guy
The
who
thing is,
became.
the law doesn't make
He
room
was
for
willing-
comeuppance.
Wait,
That's not a thing. He grew as a character. He had confidence. He went from being unconfident to being confident.
But he went from being sweet to being
Well,
to assaulting
here's
somebody.
the thing, though.
So
When he was
got
floating-
better in one way, but got worse in the other. So I would call that character flat.
I would say so he was thrown into the river in his little movie box, right? And he was saying, like, I'm gonna show you, you just wait, I have the confidence, but I don't have the skill. I have the conviction, but I don't have the
And then he got
ability.
there.
And then he got the ability. That's all that he did.
Mm-hmm.
He gained
That's
a
development.
skill, but he had the conviction already in the boat. If I was physically able to beat you up, I would. Oh, look, I'm physically able now.
Absolutely, I would recommend this film to anybody that wants to watch a lighthearted comedy that approaches the topics of racism and sexism, especially in the workplace, especially if you want to polarize everybody at the table after the discussion.
Who knew?
Next, would you?
I would recommend it, but I might have changed the rating to PG-13. I would let my younger kids watch it because I don't think it's that offensive.
There's so many movies.
That's okay.
Who cares?
It's boobs.
Half the population has boobs.
Boobs are less dangerous than violence, so there's no violence in this.
There's no blood. There's no violence. It's there's a BJ in there too, but
There's just funny faces.
But also too, like when I was a kid when I saw this, I had no idea what that was going on.
Oh really?
Because this was '84, so
You could have thought she was
How old
tickling
were
him
you?
under the table.
How old were you at 84?
I was 3.
Oh, okay, well of course you don't know what a blowjob is.
Right, but I'm sure I know I didn't watch it at 3, but when I
was
watched
gonna
it as
say.
a little older, when I watched it when it was on TV a little older, I don't think I knew it was going. I was probably 10, probably 10 or 11. I didn't know.
Say.
It was a tickle fight.
Exactly, I didn't know what was going on.
It was a tickle fight.
Where did you guys find her? She's funny. But yeah, I would recommend it. I like it.
Okay. Just two. So Siskel and Ebert.
Jesus, talk less.
They just said you were funny, so say something funny.
I'm gonna, okay,
Something
I'm gonna leave
funny.
it. I'll just leave.
Something funny.
Well, now that I'm on the spot, gosh.
No, he said say something funny, and I said something funny.
funny.
Something funny.
Copy print. You stop it over there. I would recommend it. I don't really have any reason not to, in all honesty. I thought it was funny. I thought it was charming. I thought the characters were really quirky, even though they are just personified tropes in a nutshell. But I liked the pace of it. I liked the jokes in it. I liked how even though they were like, hey, we're going to make some jokes that aren't so appropriate, but we're going to kind of hint that they're not that appropriate. I was like, oh, yay, you've made it a part of the humor to tell me that this is in fact a joke, because when it's satire, it's okay. When it's not satire, it's like, oh.
Context matters.
You're really gunning for that opinion.
Context clues.
Context clues are important.
Matters,
Yeah, I have no reason not to recommend it. I thought it was charming. I thought it was fun.
Oh, me. I didn't hate this movie, so I'll start with that. It's not a bad movie. I'll say that. But would I recommend it? No.
Oh!
All right. on that note, I think that's a great note to end. I will flash the penis up on screen like Fight Club, and we're good to go.
All right.
Cock ring. Oh, yeah, cock ring.
Cigarette burn.
Mm-hmm.